Okay. And I'll just Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's doing great. You're off to a good start this morning. This is our 5th Catholic Central Leadership Series presentation. And we're going to open up today's festivities with the opening prayer by Daily Line.
In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. God, thank you for bringing us all together today. Help us to open all of the ideas Ms. Sheehan will share with us about her own personal story of faith and leadership throughout her life. Help us to use her story as an example for how we can be leaders within our Catholic Central community and to be a sign of God's loving mercy, just as Elizabeth Ann was in the face of her pain and sorrow. Through her intercession, allow Ms. Sheehan's words to inspire us all to lead others to follow the path of love and respect this year. We ask this in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and teacher. Amen.
Amen.
Well, we're very, very happy today to have Maribeth, Sheehan, and Mahoney here as our guest speaker. I first met Maribeth back in 1972, tells you how old we are. We were both freshmen here at Catholic Central High School. Back then, I'm sure that we were so freshmen too. But over the years we survived, and we eventually graduated together as members of the 1976 bicentennial graduating class. One of the impressive things that I noted in Maribeth's bio, and I know you all received that bio, was that she went to work at Sheehan Brothers soon after graduation from the University of Dayton in 1981. The list of job responsibilities and positions held over the years mirrored those as an individual that was going far in the family business. They included jobs such as purchasing, money room counter, commissary worker, catering manager, executive sales, and eventually climbed to the president of one of Springfield, Ohio's largest family-ran companies. Folks, leadership comes in many shapes and forms. One form is certainly learning and applying one's experiences, molding and implementing a comprehensive, from the ground up management and leadership style. This certainly was what Maribeth's path was, and that she chose while climbing the ranks to running the ship. Maribeth was also inducted in 2012 as a distinguished member of our very own Catholic Central Alumni Hall of Honor. As a distinguished alumna. This is testimony of once Irish, always Irish, as Maribeth loves her school. All about Catholic Central and all about giving back. The Sheehan Brothers business originated back in 1956 selling gumballs by Maribeth's father and her uncle. It's a classic story. I hope someday you get to listen to it. But it's my pleasure to introduce to you Maribeth Sheehan Mahoney, the president of one of Ohio's premier entrepreneurial homegrown businesses. And with this, Maribeth.
Thank you. Thanks, Dave. Thank you, Mr. Fuller, for inviting me today. As Mr. Fuller mentioned, we were classmates together from 1972 to 1976, and we had a great circle of friends, a great class. We had about 175 in our class, and it was the 200th anniversary of the United States of America, and we celebrated all through our senior year. It was a wonderful time to be seniors and graduate. I never forget what a great year that was, and I was absolutely thrilled when I heard Mr. Fuller was coming back to Catholic Central. We are so very fortunate to have his expertise and his life experience taking us into 2020 and beyond. So thank you for inviting me. I also wanted to thank the students and the staff. Your time is valuable. I don't take it for granted. I hope I can pass along some interesting things to you. And really, I just wanted to tell you the story of my path in business. I told Mr. Fuller today, I'm not special. Out of our class of 175 students, I think my class rank was 54. Nothing to write home about. But I took my Catholic Central education and experience. I graduated from UD, and I always wanted to work in my family business. That was my identity. It still is today, but in a broader way. And so while I don't have a lot of technical savvy to share with you, I can tell you this for sure. All of you in this room are smarter than me. I guarantee it. I still struggle with my iPhone. I really don't know how to do social media. Maybe that's a good thing. But what I can tell you is the twists and turns and the bumps and the joys and the happiness I've had for 38 years in my career. As Mr. Fuller alluded to, my dad and my uncle, they are the Sheehan brothers of Sheehan Brothers. And back in 1956, they were newly married, having children. I was the first of 12 first cousins. My dad worked on the railroad, which was right down behind St. Raphael's. And he worked in the depot, and railroads were kind of going out. My uncle, Jim Sheehan, he worked at International Harvester, and that was a great job, a great job. And the way this all happened, short and sweet, is my dad's at the barber shop. An older man walks up to him and knows him and says, "Hey, Denny Sheehan, I have a gumball route. It's in Yellow Springs, Xenia, and down in Wilmington. I'm too old, I can't do it anymore. Do you want to buy it?" So Dad talked to Uncle Jim, his brother, and they said, "Okay, we'll try it for a month and see if we like it." So every Saturday they would load up the trunk of the car with gumballs, drive to all these little gas stations, and fill up the gumballs and take out the pennies. And that's how it started. They bought the little business. It wasn't long till maybe a year later, another guy called him up and said, "Hey, Sheehans, I got a bunch of candy machines. You want to sell candy bars?" They went to the bank, got the loan, went into the candy bar business. After that, it just started to snowball. They got some coffee machines. Cigarette machines were big back then. They started buying equipment, and it turned into a real job. They were working Saturdays and Sundays. Then they started working in evenings after their real jobs. So they made a hard decision that made my mom and my aunt very nervous. My dad said, "I think we should do this full time." And he wanted to quit his job first. He said, "Jimmy, you have a great job with benefits. You're safe and secure. Don't quit your job until we see this is going to work." So Dad left the railroad and started running Sheehan Brothers full time. It went from the trunk of our car to our garage at our home to a little old grocery store we bought on West Main Street, and eventually to Commerce Road over by Snyder Park. And that's still our home. We've added on multiple times. But it was just a year later when Uncle Jim hung up his hat at International. People told him, "You are crazy to do this." But they both wanted to work for themselves. They had gotten a taste of being their own boss. And that's the way the company was born. And now we are at year 63. And we sell many more products. We are huge in the coffee business. We've had to evolve to keep up with what people like and want. And it has kept us on our toes. We want to be a really good company. When I was 29, my dad died in his sleep on Thanksgiving morning. It was a day that changed all of our lives. It was 33 years ago. And I was 29, my brothers were in their 20s, and my sister Megan was only 16. And my mom worked at the company, and of course my Uncle Jim had to step in and take over. They always ran as a team, and now it was one brother. And what saved us is we all got on the same page. We had a family meeting because another big vending company wanted to buy us. They pulled up in our parking lot a month after Dad died with a check for thousands of dollars. They handed it to my Uncle Jim and said, "We're going to put you out of your misery. We're going to buy your business. Here's some money." And my Uncle Jim pointed to the gate on our lot, and he said, "You know where to go, and it's not here." And the competing vending company left, and we had a family meeting, and we said, "What are we going to do?" And we said, "We're going to make this work." And that was 33 years ago, and we've made it work. We don't take it for granted because every day, every week, every year, it's all new. We cannot fail. We need each other. The company takes care of lots of people. We have almost 100 employees who count on us for a paycheck every day. So Sheehan Brothers is our inspiration to keep doing what we do. Be a family, be a great business, take care of people, be a good community member. So in a nutshell, that's how we came about. So as we move ahead, and I told you about the technology thing, the beautiful part about our business now is technology has changed everything. You know, it was pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, dollar bills. Now the electronics and vending machines is amazing. We have a product called Contemporary Cafes where vending machines go away. It's an open shopping experience in a place of business. You open the cooler and grab a sandwich. You open another cooler, you select your drink. You can read the ingredients on the back of your label before you make a purchase. You use a key card. You don't use cash anymore. And that entire chain has been driven by people your age. You don't carry a wallet full of money. You don't have a bunch of coins in your pocket. You like to do things on the fly. So I'm at a beautiful point in my career because generation number 3 is now at Sheehan Brothers, Patrick and Michael Sheehan. And someday we will be back to Sheehan Brothers, and they will be the brothers. Right now, and for the last 30 years, we've been Sheehan cousins. So the future looks very, very bright, and you are a customer base of the future. You want healthier food. You want more interesting food. You don't want big fat stuff. You like to snack all day long. We're learning a lot from your generation, and now we have people your age who are going to start running our business. So we've really come full circle, and it's been a great thing to see. As I move forward with my remarks, I wanted to give you a little background about where we're coming from. I wanted to say hi to 3 Sheehans who are in here. I believe Thomas Sheehan, my nephew, Flynn Patty Schutte, my nephew, and Emma Clark, if Emma's in here, our homecoming queen. But I wanted to tell you from 1929 on, there have been so many Sheehans through Catholic Central. My parents, my aunts and uncles, my cousins. Catholic Central has been a gift to our family. It's a rite of passage. It's one of the most important things of our youth is to attend Catholic Central and graduate from here. So I just wanted to let you know, part of the thing I can tell you is you can't wait to get out of school. I get it, but Catholic Central will never leave you. You will find out as you go through life at certain junctures and points, you're going to think about this place. And it is molding you right now. You're just like fresh out of the egg. And Catholic Central will always be there for you. And you'll go years and maybe not think or maybe not visit. But you'll see, someday when you're 61 like me, you're going to say, you know what? That lady was right. Catholic Central never goes away from you. So as I move ahead, I had to say hi to my family. And I wanted to let you know that today I was tasked with talking about 4 subjects. And I'm just going to touch on them. All I can do is tell you how they've affected me. The 4 subjects are going to be leadership, ethics, communication, and faith. But before we launch into that, I wanted to share with you a quick excerpt from a book I read years ago in the 80s before I went to a workshop. And it's a book that was a self-help book about business. And it kind of stuck with me because I think some things in this list out of this book will speak to you as we talk about these things. The book is from Robert Fulghum, and it's called All I Really Need to Know Is What I Learned in Kindergarten. And it is so true. The list is a few things that I thought I would share with you. Remember, it's a kindergarten list, but it's aimed at adults. The first thing is share everything. Play fair. Don't hit people. Put things back where you found them. Clean up your own mess. Say you're sorry when you hurt someone. Wash your hands. Flush. Warm cookies and cold milk are always good for everyone. Live a balanced life. Play, have fun, create, and work every day. Try and stay in balance. Take a nap every afternoon if you can do it. When you go out in the world, watch for traffic, hold hands, stick together. Goldfish, hamsters, little white mice, and that seed you planted in the styrofoam cup in elementary school will all die at some point. Wonder, stay curious, and last but not least, look. Look around you. Don't always look at the screen on your phone. Look at the sky, look at the stars, the sunrise, the sunset, the ocean. Look at your family's faces. They are changing, and so are you. So stash away that list in the back of your mind. It's basic common sense, good advice no matter where you are in life, and take notice and see if you find it in the elements we talk about today. And the first topic is leadership. The definition, Wikipedia, I know how to find that. The action or leading of a group of people or organization. Pretty simple. Deep down, I think almost everyone wants to be a leader at some point in their life. As a student, on your team, with your friends, within your own family, and eventually your career, it feels good to lead. However, you cannot start at the top. It does not work. You have to start small. My mantra has always been, be a helper. It's the first place to start. It's all I ever heard as a kid. As I mentioned, I'm the oldest of my family and of my 12 first cousins. And my parents always said, help with your baby brother, help your grandmother get dinner on the table, help your mom clean up the dishes, fold the laundry. As I got older, my dad asked me to be a helper at Sheehan Brothers. Literally, I was a kid, but I loved this because business was at home and I could help him. I separated the coins. I cleaned the glass gumball globes. I separated candy bars that got mixed up in boxes. I helped my mom file invoices and bills, and I was allowed to answer our phone at home. Our phone at home was also our business phone, so I had to practice over and over again in front of my parents. Hello, Sheehan Brothers Vending. This is Maribeth speaking. May I help you? And I was 12. My brothers weren't allowed for a long time because they didn't stick to the script. But I felt very proud to pick up that phone and represent our family and our business. School was the same way. Many of my teachers were nuns, and that was a very special time in education. I've had some wonderful, wonderful teachers, but Mom and Dad would send me out the door every day saying, the only two words you know are yes, sister. Yes, sister. No matter what the question is, it's yes, sister. So I did that, partly out of fear, and the other part is I wanted to make my parents proud of me. And when sister asked for any type of help, I always said, yes, sister. Well, it worked out really well. To be a helper, you got noticed. On Fridays, I'd get a holy card or rosary beads or a candy mint. And so it wasn't long till I started volunteering. I said, "Sister, I'll sweep the floor. Sister, I'll check the lockers after school." And when you do something to help someone else, it comes back to you in some great way, even if it's tiny. Consistent help is noticed, and people appreciate that and respect you. From grade school on through high school, I continued to try and be a helper. After college, I graduated on a Saturday in December from UD. I was at work on Monday morning. And the first thing my dad did is push me to join a board in the community. I did not want to. I didn't know what it was. I was too busy. And I got an invitation from Big Brothers Big Sisters, and they said, "We need a board member." I was mad at Dad because he accepted that for me. I did not want to do that. And I said, "Dad, I don't have the slightest idea what to do. They are all adults." He said, "Maribeth, you're an adult. Walk in, introduce yourself at the first meeting, and say what needs to be done." That is exactly what I did. And 5 years later, I was president of the board. I was an adult. I had become a leader. My board members trusted me to lead the way of that organization for a year. I was proud of myself, but mostly I greatly appreciated the respect I was shown by other business people. And that spurred me on and made a difference in my life to get out there and put myself out there, even though it was uncomfortable. I needed to do something and give back. Our business was thriving, we were working hard, but I needed to get out there and be somebody in the community. A lot of people knew our name. I needed to make our name look good. But let me tell you this, start small, but remember, behind leadership is a lot of work. There are early mornings, late nights, you're stuck doing things you never thought you'd have to do, but in the end, it is very gratifying. It's not all perfect. It's not all, "Gee, you're great." I had a terrible chicken wing fiasco. Downtown, Big Brothers Big Sisters had a big food booth at a festival. I was in charge of the whole thing, 1,200 chicken wings, cooked them, worked all day, only sold 300. Nightmare. I lost all the money we tried to make. I looked like a fool because I was a food service professional. It was horrible. Several days later, we had a wrap-up meeting. I gave a report on why it happened. I took full responsibility. I told everyone how horrible I felt. I assumed I would be off the board, and everyone rallied around me. And they said, "There's always flops. Let's learn from it. Let's move ahead." I never forgot that. When you flop, own up to it. Just say what happened. You will be surprised at the support you receive from your friends. I got the trust back. I felt much better about myself, and I moved on and served on lots of boards. Big boards, boards I loved because they mean something. Big Brothers Big Sisters was trying to raise money for kids who need a hand. I felt like I blew their life. I did not. People on the board older than me said, "It's okay. It's gonna be okay." Remember that as you go through life and you volunteer. You can't always be the superstar. So when you fall down, they're gonna lift you up. Just keep doing it. Don't walk away. Our second topic is ethics. The definition: moral principles, a person's behavior or conduct that drives you in a direction. I personally think everyone is born with an ethics instinct, maybe in their DNA, but I am certainly not a doctor. That's just what I feel, that people are born with that. It's your inner voice, it's your conscience, it's your moral code. Your personal ethics, I have found, will ebb and flow your entire life. Ethics will be molded by your parents, your friends, your education, your life experience, and much more. In business, ethics plays out in different ways. Here's an example. In the 60s and 70s, I mentioned that we had cigarette machines. Cigarettes were 35 cents a pack. Everybody smoked. Teenagers smoked, your parents smoked, people smoked on TV, in commercials. There were cigarette billboards. Cigarettes was our culture. We even had a cigarette machine in the hospital here in Springfield. How crazy is that? If you had a crystal ball, you would have seen what was coming down the road. I had to ask myself questions later in life. If we had known about lung cancer, would we have sold cigarettes? Did we do something bad? Did we help make people sick? After I think about this, I think no. I think because it was something everyone did and wanted to do, that we were not pandering to illness for profits. Cigarettes were very profitable for us. All you did is put the pack in the machine and they sold. We used our profits to build our business and make more jobs and enhance what we did for a living. As soon as we saw what was happening with lung cancer, we started backing out of the cigarette business quickly. And businesses cooperated with us. They would call us and say, come and get the machine out. We're done. And we were done too. The happiest day is when we sold our last cigarette machine to the scrap dealer. They were gone out of our lives, and we were very relieved about that. But what I want to talk to you about today is what I fear could be the next cigarette, and it's energy drinks. And the more I read and the more I educate myself on that, I just need to tell you to take it easy with energy drinks. I was a Red Bull girl for 3 years. I love the stuff, had it every week. It works. It's the fastest growing product in the last 5 years at Sheehan Brothers. We sell 12 different kinds. But I'm asking myself, because of what I read about it and what doctors have said, is possibly down the road, esophageal cancer will be a new epidemic because of energy drinks. There's too much stuff in them. It's not even just caffeine. It's taurine and amino acids that your body makes, but in high volume. Can this be good for all of you? So many folks that work second and third shift love it. They don't drink coffee at night. They love energy drinks. But here's the questions when it comes to ethics. Are we at the beginning of an epidemic? Should we stop selling the product? Will we lose business and accounts and have to let people go? Should we be the drink police? Don't customers have free will to buy what they want? Those kind of things make me think all the time. Is this a new bad thing coming down the road? So what I should say to you, you're all smart. Read about it, see what people say. If you use energy drinks, just use a little, not a lot. Some of our customers now who are company nurses, they make us take them out during hot weather because people hydrate with them instead of water and they get sick and faint. So just think about this product. You know, it's got a lot of parallels that cigarettes did. So going forward, just think about that. These are just a couple examples of ethics in business. It happens all the time. It comes down to when I interview people for a job, and I've got a couple candidates, and one person I know and I like and I think they'll fit in really good, and the next person I interview is better suited, maybe has more technical skills that we need. Who do I hire? A friend? A person who is better suited but maybe won't fit in as well? It's things like that. What is the right answer to that? Just the other night, on a much smaller scale, my 10-year-old grandson said, he calls me MB. He said, MB, when is it okay to lie? And I thought, wow, I got to think about that. And I said, are you thinking about something specific? He goes, no, I just need to know when it's okay to lie. And I said, well, I think when you want to spare someone's feelings, when you don't want to hurt someone, and it's not something terribly serious. And he said, like what? And I said, well, say your best buddy comes to school and he has a new haircut, and it is buzzed, and you're like, whoa, and maybe it's not your best look. But he walks up and says, hey, what do you think? Are you gonna say, not your best look? Probably not. You're gonna say, dude, looks good. That's a fib, a white lie, a baby lie, not to hurt someone. And he's 10. I didn't want to get into anything deeper, and he took that. He goes, okay, great, thank you. But that question coming from a little kid at 10 makes you know that through your life, ethics pop up in front of you all the time. So really think you're going to change as you go through life on how you think about things. But examine yourself and trust your gut. If you're not sure, ask someone who you admire. Ask people, what do you think about this? Go from your gut, trust yourself, you're smart, you know your inner voice. When the ethic thing comes up, the last thing I'll say is this. Always aspire to do the right thing. And there isn't only one right thing. Things can be done in many ways to make it the right thing. There are no crystal balls. You think outside the box. Trust your head, trust your heart. If they're in conflict, ask someone for their opinion. Topic number 3 is communications. Definition: the imparting or exchanging of information or news from one entity or group to another through the use of mutually understood signs or symbols. Here we are in the emoji world. This definition couldn't be more right on. Communications is my personal favorite. It was my college major. I think it's at the top of the heap when it comes to life skills. It's beyond exciting to see how communications has changed in my short life. You know, my grandmother as a child had no phone. My mother grew up making a phone call through an operator at a switchboard downtown, and phone numbers were 3 or 4 digits long. As a kid, the phone in our kitchen was gigantic. It hung on a wall, and it had a cord that stretched across the kitchen so you could walk around and talk. My dad's car phone was this big. It had an antenna. He had an antenna on top of his car, but it was the latest, greatest. You could drive and talk. Now, everyone has a cell phone and a camera, and who knows, there's a new phone every year. The possibilities are endless. Communication through television. My childhood TV was black and white. It had tubes behind the picture screen that would occasionally blow up and smoke. There was no remote, no cable, but it was still the best thing ever until Netflix. And now we all got the best thing ever. But what I can say is the glimpse I've had of how communications changed just in my life makes the possibilities for you fabulous. Where will communication be when you're 61 and you're talking about this? Will humans have a chip in their eye to watch TV or take a photo? Will you squeeze your earlobe to listen to radio or make a phone call? My imagination cannot fathom where this is going to go, but I think it will be beyond wonderful. But one thing will not change with all this technology, and it's how critical you have to be at communicating no matter what mode. Sharing information, creating literature, teaching children, finding love, protecting your family, having fun, giving and taking information is part of your life every single day. As you go through life and do that, search for the truth and let the rest go. We all know about the conflict of fake news. Look to yourself and your inner voice as you read through things and find out what resonates with you and do your research. Don't get sidetracked with too much technology. Don't miss the beauty of the spoken word, reading a thrilling book, going to a theater or a concert. Communication comes in so many forms. Someday, you will tell your grandchildren, and back in the day, I had my cell phone in my car, and I had a charging cord, and I plugged it into the car, and your grandchildren will say, "What?" It will change that fast. So when it comes to communication, embrace it, be the best you can at it, and don't forget the people factor. Our final topic is faith. Definition: complete trust or confidence in someone or something. Pretty simple. I'm a fan of Oprah Winfrey. She likes to keep things simple. One of her favorite verses is from Acts chapter 17, verse 28. In him we live and move and have our being. To me, it sounds like we are born with the opportunity to be our best self and to reflect on our godliness while we move throughout our life. The quote is wide open for interpretation, and I'd like to think that is the definition of our faith. We are given the opportunity at birth to live our life in faith. Our Catholic faith is bolstered by the sacraments that we receive throughout life. Faith that allows us to stand on the shoulders of our Catholic central family when we face great loss, sickness, disappointment, or sorrow. And faith that allows us to bounce back with joy, accomplishment, excitement, growth, peace, and love. In my life, I've witnessed faith at work in the darkest hours. I've seen faith's incredible strength, courage, hope, and resolve. Faith has many faces, and what I know for sure, after years of looking into the eyes of those I know and love, is to trust your faith. Make it your friend. Use it. Help others with your faith. It's your secret weapon. Share it whenever you can. In closing, I'd like to leave you with a few thoughts. I want to thank you again, Mr. Fuller, for having me today. It is so wonderful to be back in Catholic Central. I thank all of you for listening to me. I wish you all the best in your future. You're all wonderful people. I'm very excited for you to run the world someday. I'd like to leave you with a couple final thoughts. The first one is very basic. Just go out and get a job. Nothing feels better than a paycheck. Maybe getting your driver's license, but a paycheck gives you freedom. A job gives you purpose. You will feel great about yourself. You will learn something new every day. You will make new friends. You will gain respect. You may not love your first job, but it's not beneath you. Start small. Be the helper. All good things will come to you. In this job that you might not like, don't slop your way through it. Do your best. Someone important is going to notice, and good things will come to you. Number 2 is for the ladies in the room. As you graduate and head to college or your next step in life, remember to take care of each other. There are lots of parties and fun times ahead. Never leave a girl behind. Even if you're dead tired and you just want to go home, go back inside, bring your friend home with you. For the guys, you're all sweethearts deep down inside. Don't do anything that makes your mom mad, sad, or embarrassed. She did the best she could to raise you. Think about it before you do something nuts. And last but not least, please register to vote. Our country needs you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, thank you.
Wow. That was fantastic.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Fuller. I appreciate it.
That's wonderful. Okay, I'm now open to questions and answers. So, if driving, raise your hand. They'll come over to you so everyone can hear the question, okay? All over.
Go right ahead.
Good morning. I intend on going to these things, so I want to, did you know, like, right off the bat what you want to do? Or, like, what to study, guys?
That's a great question, and I feel like when I was born, it was destined on what I was going to do. I was very proud, and I couldn't wait to get out of college and work at Sheehan Brothers. But I have to be honest, going through college, taking lots of different classes, I fell in love with other things. And I had inner conflict about what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to be a journalist. I love psychology. I got involved in marketing and PR. And I thought, oh, do I really want to go to Springfield and work in a vending company? But that was where my heart was. And what I was able to do at UD is take my communications degree and give it an organizational business slant. And I was able to do free study. And I traveled with my dad to trade shows in Chicago. I went to seminars about vending business. I got real life experience in what my career was going to look like at Sheehan Brothers, and that made me feel confident in making the choice to come back home and pursue Sheehan Brothers. But my outlet for doing other things was community service. The big brother, big sister experience was great, to work with kids who are so down on their luck. And I felt I had another way to express myself. And I went on to work for United Way and get to see all walks of life and be able to actually tangibly do something to help people. So I got the rest of it out of me, why I still was able to stay at Sheehan Brothers and eventually become the president. So yes, it was a commitment, and yes, I strayed in my thoughts sometimes, but yes, this is what I wanted to do.
Hi, my name is Gavin, and my question is, were you ever unsure about your faith?
I'm sorry, Gavin. It was a little bit of an echo.
Were you unsure about your faith?
Was I unsure about my faith? I was not unsure about my faith. It was always part of who I was, like my arm or my leg. I was an Irish Catholic girl from Springfield, Ohio. That's me. It will always be me. As I've moved through life, I've used faith differently. As a kid, it was all about the rules. As an adult, it was more of a steering device. Now, my faith is more comfort. I can kind of exhale. I can kind of feel like even when things go terribly wrong, they're going to be okay. It's going to be all right. The world's not going to stop. The sun's going to come up. Faith to me at this point feels relaxed, and it evolves. It takes on new faces as generations pass through it. Right now, it's my comfort zone. I'm not in any kind of conflict with my faith at this point. And throughout life, there were times when I didn't question my faith, but questioned the rules. But I hung on. It's a relationship, and I want it. I always want to have it. And I feel stronger in it now, having been through what I've been through.
Hi, I'm Patrick, and I was wondering if you'd like to see Thomas and Fletchersburg or Sheehan Brothers someday.
I would love that. I would love the Sheehan cousins down there. We have, well, our warehouse picks product all night. We pick, 20,000 units a night. And that would be a great starting place for those guys to get in there and pull pop and candy and be one of the crew back in the warehouse. The hours are 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. And it pays bonuses for accuracy.
Hi, what do you think you would have done if you were to get a different path?
I think I would have been an on-air meteorologist. It's just, when I was a kid, I used to mark my calendar how many days it snowed and when it was windy, and I just always kind of a weather geek. I'm not that good at science. In school, I looked into it and I thought I can never, ever be smart enough to be a meteorologist. But that would be my dream career, is to be on TV and telling people to go to your basement. I think it would be really exciting.
Can you talk about the changes that you may have seen in your career towards women in supervisory positions in the workplace?
Yes, yes. I have to tell you, I was 22 when I started out, and the workplace was not very friendly to women. And I had some extraordinary circumstances that upset me. And I would go back to work and close my dad's office door and cry about it. And he said, you got to stop doing that. You have got to get tough. You have got to be one of the guys if you're going to make it in this industry, because the vending industry was heavily male dominated. But like, I'd go in to see a customer who worked out in the shop somewhere in a big factory, and I'd sit in his office, and on the wall behind him was a Playboy bunny calendar. I did not think that was appropriate. I had to sit and look at a girl in a bikini the whole time I was trying to talk business with this man. Was he taking me seriously? It just made me crazy. We had a guest come to Springfield. At the time, she was the treasurer of the state of Ohio, and she wanted to tour our business. And I made arrangements for her to tour International Harvester and go out and watch trucks being built. And we met some of the leaders at International Harvester, and I got in a golf cart with her, and we drove all around the plant. And all through the tour, the guys working would catcall us. Hey ladies. We drove by guys who were up on a balcony working, and they lifted up their shirts. And my mind was blown. Here I am with the treasurer of the state of Ohio, and I can't control what's happening. And when we left that tour, and I was helping her back to her car to go back to Columbus, I just couldn't apologize enough. And she said, Maribeth, you have to stop that. Get with the program. She said, all those guys are going to vote for me. She said, I can take it, you can take it. So I had a bumpy start. Now, by far the majority of men that I worked with were great. But it was those times when it wasn't great that made me upset. But what has changed so much, and I love it, is the career of human resources. There is now a department you can go to at work if you're having trouble as a woman and say, I need help. And it's private, and they help you, and it works. And most of the human resource people I work with are women. They get it. They have walked the walk, and now they are helping others walk the walk to be brave and be respected and expect to be treated well. So in my 30 years out there in the workforce, I've seen women go from basic jobs to the top. So many more company presidents and vice presidents and managerial people are women. I can't tell you how happy it makes me. When I was in my 20s, I had a license plate on my car that said Libber, L-I-B-B-E-R, because I always considered myself a woman's libber. And that didn't work very good. I got a lot of honks on the highway. I got cars that would swerve into me. A lot of people flew the bird. And it was a real learning experience for me about what it's like when you speak your mind. And mine was just on a funny little license plate. But what I can say is we have come so far. In 30 years, it's amazing how women have stepped up with the help of so many others. And it makes me very excited for all you that you will never have to deal with that stuff. And if you do, you have somewhere to go to get help. But all of you are my heroes. You're heading into a work world that is vastly different. And I'm very happy for you, and keep that going. Be good to everybody, your girls and your guys and your bosses and the folks under you. Be good to everyone. It doesn't matter who you are, you'll be their hero. So, yay, girls.
Hi, my name is Jenna, and I want to ask how your transition from high school to college was. Was there any certain advice that you stuck by that got you through the transition, or were there hardships that you went through that were differences between high school and college?
I really had a pretty good transition, because I have to say UD is kind of like a big Catholic Central. I believe there were 11 people out of our graduating class that went to Catholic Central that went on to UD. And so that transition was pretty comfortable. I felt like, and this is just me, I wasn't ready for college math. And I wasn't ready for college science. Not that I didn't have wonderful math and science teachers here, but again, they weren't my strongest subjects, so that for me was a little bumpy. I got to move out of the house, I got to be in a dorm. Dayton was a big city, and I met people, a lot of people that go to UD are from the East Coast. That was a culture shock to me. I didn't get East Coasters. They're not like Midwesterners. It was fun, but it was like, wow. It was a learning curve for me. But what was so nice about UD is if you have that pang to go back home, just for the night, for the weekend, 32 miles away. It was really safe and comfortable. I enjoyed it, and for me personally, it was a pretty easy crossover.
Hi, I'm Joshua.
Hi.
Were there any doubts, like in the very beginning of Sheehan Brothers, that you had about the business not succeeding as well as it did?
Yes. Yes. When Dad passed away, it was also during a recession, and sales were not good. Our customers were going out of business. I can't tell you how shocking it was to lose Dad. He had always had heart problems, serious heart problems. And he was 55 when he died. When he was 48, he had one of the first heart bypasses they did in the country, in Milwaukee. And he was in the hospital 2 weeks. Now when you have a bypass, you're in there 2 days. But it was at the very beginning, and I remember the doctors told us it was successful. And he said, Dennis Sheehan, if you live your life right, and you diet and exercise and do all the right things, you have 10 more years. And Dad lived 7. But those 10 years, I think the doctor was trying to be kind. They just started a timer. Tick, 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 tick. And I think Dad knew he wouldn't have a long life. We all knew that. And you try to move through life like everything's normal, and it's really not. So when he died at 7 years, we were caught off guard, and it was a tough time in business. And those were some dark years. We had a family meeting once a month, and my dear Uncle Jim would come in there and run the meeting. My brother, my cousin Dan, me, my brother Brendan. We were in our 20s. We were working like crazy, but were we working smart? We were working hard. We had to make tough decisions. Every statement that we got from the accountants, we would go over every number. The family meetings lasted 2 hours. They weren't fun. It would get better, it would get worse. It would get better, it would get worse. We knew to survive, we had to make some tough decisions. My responsibility at that time at Sheehan Brothers was catering. We did weddings, we did anything you can think of. And it made a lot of money, but it didn't make a lot of profit. And so, in those dark times, we had to make the decision to get rid of my department. It scared us because we thought we'd lose customers. We thought we would hurt our reputation, but we had to get rid of this big bundle that was siphoning off our profits. We were worried about making payroll during those days. You have to pay your people every Friday, you have to. So we made some very difficult decisions, and it worked out. But it was tough times. There was tension, but we all had the same goal. We all wanted to work for ourselves. So we plowed through that. There were times when I thought, I cannot do this anymore. But you do. You go home, you rest, you come back the next day, you do it again. You look at all those people who have families and kids and a car payment, and they need their paycheck. So we did it. And there will be tough times again. The recession of 2008 was tough, but we were better prepared. We were a better business. But yes, there were times when I thought this is not going to work.
Hi, I'm John. What was your, the company's highest point where your favorite part about working there? Or still,
I'd like to think our highest point is yet to come, but we had a couple of them. In 1976, we built our building on Commerce Road, and we're still there, it's our home. And we were in a 100-year-old wooden grocery store over on West Main Street. And building that building was the highlight of my dad and uncle's life from a career point. We had our own land, our own building, our own sign in the yard. It was amazing. I was 18 and off to college. It was, this is real, this is happening. Just recently, we added on a huge warehouse and added technology that has changed our business. We can count every single product we have in every machine, in every county, at every account. It's mind-boggling. It was a $250,000 investment and then a $250,000 building. So 7 years ago, we built that building and spent shy of $1 million. Dan Sheehan and I, my partner Dan, we went to the bank and we signed the papers. It was exhilarating and it was terrifying to owe that kind of money, but it worked. We're 6 years later and it worked. It's nearly paid off. We're moving forward. We're an attractive company now to our customers. We get it. We're in the real world. That was probably our second high point. I'd like to think there's another one around the corner.
I have a question. You had mentioned what brought you into Sheehan Brothers. You had mentioned what brought you into your engagement with Big Brothers Big Sisters and the service part. What brought you into engagement with board of elections and your activity in the political world?
Well, my passion has always been politics, and my grandfather Sheehan, who passed away when he was 49 of heart problems. He was very active in Springfield in the Democratic Party in trying to make workplaces safer. He worked at Ohio Steel Foundry, which is in East Springfield, and in a year, 11 men died on the job. It was so dangerous. And he formed a committee to try and make it safer. And it was very tragic. He was making progress, trying to get, it was a union of metal workers, and he got fired. And the company said, "We don't want you here anymore, you're making too many problems." So he had no job. He tried to make it work from the outside in, and he was able to get another job within government to be the postmaster of Springfield, which was a great government job and would still allow him to work within his union. And the night before he took his oath of office, which was New Year's Day, he died of a heart attack at the age of 49. So he died and left my grandmother, my dad, my uncle, and my aunt, who was only 8 years old. He left his whole family. And because he died 12 hours before he was sworn in, he got no benefits. He left them with nothing because he had been fired and he hadn't been sworn into his new job yet. And I heard that story growing up 100 times. My dad was up here at Central as a junior in high school. He had to take over supporting the family. My grandmother stayed home to raise the kids. I think it's part of the reason my dad always wanted to work for himself, so that would never happen to him. But where that took me, Patrick, to answer your question, is I grew up with a sense of being politically active and trying to find the best way to go. And my family is very Democratic, not all of them. We have Republicans in our family, but for the most part we're Democratic. My uncle was a county commissioner for 12 years. My dad was chairman of the Democratic Party. I was chairman of the Democratic Party. I ended up being chairman of the Board of Elections. I had fantastic opportunities within the political world. I got to meet the president at the steps of Air Force One in Dayton. I got to be in his motor caravan. I was a delegate to the National Convention in Chicago. I had amazing opportunities. And once again, going back to, I started out in politics just being a helper. I was the kid that passed out the campaign pamphlets, the kid that held a little flag. As I got older, I would cater campaign events and support candidates. At one point, 6 judges in Clark County were all Catholic Central graduates. We were a dynasty. But anyway, it's my passion. But that's what took me to the Board of Elections, is it was a highway through our family of opportunity to do something in the community, and it came naturally. I just loved it.
Finish up the prayer.
So we'll go with the luncheon momentarily. We will pause and invite that please. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord, thank you for the chance to gather today. Thank you for our students, our guests, and our teachers. Thank you for the opportunity to engage, learn, and grow. Help us to receive the wisdom of the Holy Spirit so that we may better serve you. And finally, thank you for the blessings of gathering together for our meal as together we pray. Bless us, O Lord.
These are gifts which we are about to receive from thy bounty through Christ our Lord. Amen.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Maribeth, I'd like to just say thank you one more time.
You're welcome.
It was a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
It was everything that I thought you were going to bring.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
And more.
Thank you.
So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.